Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're doing something pretty unique.
Yeah.
A really rapid fire, but still, deep look
Right.
at the very latest global stuff.
Right?
We're grabbing headlines from just the last, say, 10 hours or so,
Mm-hmm.
and pulling out the key insights, the surprising bits, the hidden connections, basically trying to give you a shortcut to being genuinely clued in.
It's a great way to do it.
We'll hit geopolitical shifts, economic ripples, maybe even some cultural things that, well, often fly under the radar.
And that's what I think is so interesting about this approach. It's like a snapshot, right? In real time almost.
Exactly.
We're not just seeing what's happening, but sort of the immediate fallout, the trends underneath,
Yeah.
and how stuff that seems totally separate actually links up. It really shows you how interconnected things are.
Okay, so let's dive in. Let's unpack some of this, starting with, well, global geopolitics and where it crosses over with economics.
Sounds good.
Top of the list, there's this upcoming China-EU summit in Beijing, the 25th one.
Right, she meeting with von der Leyen and Costa.
Yeah, and it seems like it has two jobs, right? Celebrating 50 years of diplomatic ties.
Which is a big number.
Definitely. But also, and this seems key, pushing back against those increasing U.S.-China trade tensions.
Mm-hmm.
So is this summit likely to, genuinely ease those specific tensions? Or is it more the EU playing its own game, kind of asserting itself separate from the U.S.?
That's a really good question. I think looking at the bigger picture here, it's probably less about immediately cooling things with the U.S.
Okay.
and more about the EU marking out its own territory, defining its position in this shifting global trade landscape.
Right, carving out its own space.
Exactly. And you can actually connect this pretty directly to what their own central bank is doing.
The ECB.
Yeah, the European Central Bank. They're expected to pause their rate cuts. They've cut 8 times in a row.
Wow, yeah.
And now they're likely holding the key rate at 2%.
And why the pause now?
Well, the reason is quite telling, actually. They seem to be waiting for clarity on these looming U.S. tariffs.
Ah, okay, so the tariffs are casting a long shadow.
A huge shadow. It's a major uncertainty for, well, the whole global economy. It just shows how a decision over here can send ripples, everywhere, like dominoes falling.
Okay, right. And here's where it gets, well, I think really interesting.
Go on.
Over in Asia, markets seem pretty stable, pretty steady, even though Japan just had a political shakeup, right? The ruling coalition lost control of the upper house.
Yeah, that was significant news.
But shares held up, the yen held firm, and it seems like the market just shrugged off the domestic politics and immediately shifted focus to, guess what?
U.S. and EU trade talks.
Exactly, upcoming trade talks. It just highlights how forward-looking markets can be. Does that resilience surprise you at all, given the internal politics?
It is pretty noteworthy. I mean, while the idea is often interconnectedness, sometimes the immediate hit from domestic political shifts, like in Japan, can be a bit more contained than you might think, especially when the market's already looking ahead.
So the real test is maybe longer term.
Could be, yeah, the sustained impact. Meanwhile, oil prices are also pretty steady.
Okay.
Brent crude is hovering around, $69.16 a barrel. Investors are still trying to figure out the impact of these new EU and U.S. sanctions on Russia.
Still weighing that up.
Yeah. And then you've got Turkey making a move,
Oh, yeah.
trying to revive that Iraq-Turkey oil pipeline, the one that's been underused.
Right, I remember reading about that.
They're talking about a new and vibrant phase for regional cooperation. Sounds ambitious.
It does sound ambitious, especially given, well, all the regional complexities there. What are the potential upsides or downsides?
Well, the upside for Turkey is huge, potentially. Leverage its position, become a key energy player.
Big economic boost, more influence.
Exactly. But the risks are significant, too, involving regional stability, politics.
It's a gamble then. A calculated one?
Definitely calculated. But what really strikes me, looking across all these headlines we just discussed, is how economic stability, ECB rates, oil prices, market reactions, it feels like it's becoming secondary to the geopolitical moves.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's like the geopolitics are driving the bus now.
Right. It's not just invisible market hands. It's tariffs, sanctions, pipeline diplomacy. It feels like this new kind of economic Cold War, maybe, where nations are constantly reacting, constantly trying to balance things.
Like a high-stakes poker game, yeah.
Absolutely. That constant, delicate balancing act between power and trade.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating to watch unfold day by day.
So from that huge global chess game, let's maybe zoom in a bit. look at how individual countries are making their own sort of strategic financial moves.
Okay.
Some interesting regional stuff going on. Like in Singapore,
Mm-hmm.
the Monetary Authority of Singapore, the MAS, they've just put $1.1 billion. That's what, about 856 million US dollars into asset managers.
Okay. Quite a sum.
Yeah, and it's apparently part of a bigger $5 billion plan.
Mm-hmm.
The goal seems to be supporting their own domestic markets.
Right. Shoring things up locally.
And then different regions, South Africa. The rand, their currency, has been pretty stable. Markets there are looking ahead to the central bank's interest rate decision on July 31st.
And inflation is the big watchword there, I assume.
Yeah, inflation's right back in focus.
You know, what's critical about both of those examples, Singapore's investment, the rand's stability ahead of the decision, is how they connect back to that country's specific internal situation.
How so?
They're very targeted moves, right? Aimed at maintaining confidence within their own markets, dealing with their own economic health. It's like economic self-preservation almost, bolstering the foundations from the inside.
Right, internal focus. Now, sticking with domestic issues, but shifting to the UK, there's been a really quite shocking revelation about the UK's Afghanistan data breach. What's really staggering is that it was apparently covered up for 2 years using something called a super injunction.
Right.
Which is, a pretty powerful legal tool that stops reporting not just on the issue, but even on the existence of the injunction itself.
Wow. Okay.
And this kept secret the fact that data belonging to 18,700 Afghan asylum seekers had been released.
18,700 people. That's deeply concerning.
Yeah, it sparked really serious national security concerns, as you can imagine. When I read that, I just thought about the massive responsibility governments have.
Absolutely.
And how devastating it must be for those vulnerable people when that trust is broken.
You're completely right. And if you step back and look at the bigger picture, it really highlights the huge implications.
For trust, yeah.
For trust in government, definitely. For national security. But most importantly, maybe, for the privacy and safety of extremely vulnerable individuals. It's just a very stark reminder, isn't it, of how digital security failures aren't abstract. They affect real lives, sometimes with tragic results.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've covered a lot of, policy, markets, security, but it's always important to remember the human stories behind the headlines too.
Definitely. The cultural currents, the personal aspects.
So let's touch on a couple of those. First, some news from sports.
Okay.
Hong Kong's swimming star, Siobhan Haughey. She's had to withdraw from the World Championships in Singapore. They're coming up really soon, July 27th to August 3rd.
Oh, that's a shame. Why?
Apparently a persistent back injury. And it's just, an example of how personal challenges can really impact public figures, their careers, fan expectations, all on a global stage.
Yeah, a tough blow for her and for Hong Kong swimming.
And then something completely different, but also very human. In Nepal, they just marked the first Monday of Shravan. That's a holy month in the Hindu calendar, right? Dedicated to Lord Shiva.
Yes, Shravan. A very significant time.
And thousands of people were apparently involved in mass prayers in Kathmandu, doing rituals, seeking blessings for purification and well-being.
It's a powerful collective observance.
And what's fascinating to me here is putting these side by side, the swimmer's personal setback and this huge collective spiritual event.
Right.
They offer such a vital contrast to all the geopolitics and economics we were just talking about.
They really do.
Siobhan Haughey's situation, Nepal's prayers, they're not just like footnotes. They kind of underline how even in this world seemingly run by big powers and big money, individual lives, personal agency, deeply rooted cultural practices, they're still incredibly powerful anchors for people.
Yeah, they persist. They matter deeply.
It reminds you that global events are ultimately lived and felt by individuals, shaped by personal beliefs, often way outside those halls of power. It shows that rich, diverse human experience.
Absolutely. It's the full tapestry, isn't it? Not just the political threads.
Exactly. So there you have it, our rapid deep dive into just the last 10 hours or so of global headlines.
Quite a journey in a short time.
Yeah, from, economic chess moves and political shifts right through to personal struggles and ancient traditions. It really shows you how complex and interconnected the world is, just from a quick scan. We really hope this gave you a bit of a shortcut, found you some of those nuggets of knowledge in what can feel like an overwhelming flood of information.
Absolutely. And maybe something for you, the listener, to think about as you go about your day.
Yeah.
Consider how all these immediate things, these daily headlines we just talked about, how do they fit together? What long-term kind of tectonic shifts might they be hinting at?
Good question.
How does understanding these smaller pieces help you maybe grasp the bigger story, the unfolding narrative of global change?
Right.
What deeper questions does this stuff spark for you? Maybe about the future of global relations or even just the role information itself plays in how we see the world.